Welcome to the 8th annual 3-minute thesis competition at the University of Houston. I'm Sarah Larson, the Vice Provost and Dean of the Graduate School and a professor of chemistry. Thank you for joining us here in person at the Student Center Theater or virtually via live stream. The 3MT competition was started at the University of Queensland in Australia in 2008 and has expanded to over 600 universities in 65 countries. In just 3 minutes, and with one static slide, each of our participants will take on the challenge of conveying their groundbreaking work, engaging us with their insights, and highlighting why their research matters, not just to academics, but to our wider society. We held preliminary rounds on Friday, November 7th. 12 graduate students advanced from the preliminary rounds to today's final round. Congratulations to all of our competitors and finalists. The winner from today's competition will advance to the regional competition at the Conference of Southern Graduate Schools meeting in February in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and will represent the University of Houston at that competition. So let me hand over to our MC for today's event, Mike Emery, Executive Director of Communication, Office of the Provost. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Larson, and thank all of you for attending today's event. I'd like to also acknowledge our panel of judges. Dr. Summer Chavez, Director of Medical Student Research at the Tillman J. Fertitta Family College of Medicine. Dr. Jacinta Conrad, Frank M. Tiller Professor at the Cullen College of Engineering. Dr. Jason Erickson, Assistant Dean for Graduate Programs at the College of Pharmacy. And Dania Amaranth, Psychology doctoral student and last year's 3-minute thesis winner. Now, all of these judges have a daunting task ahead of them from selecting from today's excellent group of students, but you, yes, all of you will play a role in today's competition. Hopefully you received this ballot. If you didn't receive a ballot, they are available outside, but this is for our People's Choice Award. So make sure that you have this, and after all of the participants have presented, be sure to fill it out, and I'll give you instructions on which way to hand it in your row. Very special recognition goes to Bridget Jones from the UH Graduate School. She organized this great event, and she helps every year get this thing off the ground. So a big round of applause for Bridget. Now, the 3-minute thesis celebrates the communication of academic pursuits in a way that adheres to the 3 C's: clear, concise, and captivating. So each participant is going to present just using one slide, no video, no gimmicks, no props, just their words, and most importantly, their passion. It's about creating a bridge between groundbreaking ideas and a broad audience, making the complex beautifully simple, and we know how difficult that can be, in just 3 minutes. So let's get to the competition. Our first competitor, Ayush Gupta, who will discuss preserving memories by preventing abnormal protein aggregation.
It's a lovely family photo, isn't it? Memories that we share with loved ones shape who we are. Yet as we grow older, these memories can start to fade. For many of us, Alzheimer's will mean slowly losing the connections and moments that bring joy in life. But with life, there also comes consequences. Alzheimer's is one of the leading causes of disability in later life and a major cause of death for older adults, especially the ones who don't have anyone to take care of them. Now, my research is not about somehow stopping the wheel of time and thereby the aging of our body. Because like many of you, I also want to have cherishing experiences with my family and hold on to those moments. What I can do, though, is try to find a way by which none of us will ever have to lose those precious moments. You see, Alzheimer's is a complex biological puzzle that people are just beginning to crack. Inside the brain, small droplets of protein that should normally stay separate begin to clump together, transforming into solid aggregates that clog the brain's network. These tough solid aggregates disrupt the connection between brain cells, making it harder for the patient to think or even recognize their family members. Ultimately, there is no cure for Alzheimer's because current therapies can either address the symptoms or at max reduce the cognitive decline by only 30%. That's why I'm focused on addressing the root cause of this heartbreaking disease. My research looks at the building blocks of these proteins, identifying which sections of the proteins are the real troublemakers in their abnormal aggregation. Protein is a big molecule, but we found that less than 10% of it is so sticky that it makes these proteins start to clump together. After finding out which sections of the proteins are the real troublemakers, we are now testing ways by which we can disrupt those regions by adjusting factors like pH or introducing new molecules so that we can stop the clumping process before it even begins. No clumping means no solid aggregates, means no cognitive decline. In the long run, my research will open doors for new therapies that can truly prevent this neural decline, so that the next time you have a golden moment with your family, its imprint in your brain stays with you forever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ayush. So as judges work on their scores, let's get to know our first participant. What inspired your research on this particular topic?
So the inherent problem that it affects you in the older age, and if you don't have anyone to take care of you, you're just on your own. And if you don't have anyone, it's a high chance that you have a miserable life, you don't remember anything, ultimately you're gonna die. So that really appealed to my inherent the researcher, and that's why I got so into it.
Outstanding, thank you very much. Now let's welcome our second 3-minute thesis participant, Amawan Jitamai, who will present or pose the question to all of us, does honesty pay?
Imagine you're shopping online for a new jacket. You click on a brand sustainability page, and instead of the usual message, "We're saving the planet," you see this. "We have reduced our carbon emission by 40%, but we still haven't paid all our workers a living wage." Would you trust them more, or would you click away? This is a dilemma fashion brands face every single day. They want to be honest about their sustainability journey, all the wins and the losses, but they're terrified. Will customers reward them for their honesty or punish them for not being perfect? Right now, most brands only tell you the good stuff. They usually pick their achievements and stay silent about their struggles. But here's the thing, consumers are getting smarter. We want the full picture. So I ask, what happens when brands get brutally honest? When they voluntarily reveal their shortcomings, not because they have to, but because they choose to. I study real consumer reaction to brands that disclose both their sustainability success and sustainability failures. Things like, we use recycled materials, but our supply chain still had highest emission. And here what I found. Honesty wins. When brands reveal their imperfection, consumers actually trust them more, not less. This transparency leads to higher purchase intention, and people are willing to pay more for products from honest brands. Think about it. If someone admits their flaw, it signals authenticity. It says we are on a journey and we are bringing you along. This matters because we can solve sustainability without transparency. You can't improve what you don't measure, and you can't measure what you hide. My research gives brands the evidence they need to stop hiding behind perfect images and start having real conversation with consumers. Because the path to accessible future isn't paved with perfection. It builds on honest progress. And maybe, just maybe, that jacket brand that admitted they haven't paid everyone fairly yet, they're the one actually working to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, real quickly, how were you able to condense all of that into only 3 minutes?
I actually practice it so I like to do pickleball and Pilates. So when I go to the class, people ask me, like, what are you working on? So like in that 2-3 minutes before we starting the class or start to play, I start to telling them. So the more I talk about it, it gets better every time.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much. Now let's welcome our next scholar, Sana Sharif, with her presentation, Nanoparticles, A Smarter Way to Fight Breast Cancer.
Imagine a soldier going into a battle without knowing where the enemy is. They might cause damage, but also hurt innocent bystanders. That's what conventional chemotherapy does. It attacks on fast-growing cells everywhere in the body, not just the cancer cells. While it can save lives, it often leaves patients weak, sick, and exhausted. Now imagine if we could train those soldiers to find only enemy, only the cancer cells, while leaving everything else unharmed. That's the dream behind my research. I'm developing nano-sized formulations or nanoparticles for the treatment of breast cancer, the most commonly diagnosed cancer among women in the United States. These nanoparticles are so small that thousands of them could fit across the width of a single human hair. But don't let their size fool you, these particles are powerful. Each one works like a smart delivery vehicle, carrying cancer medicine safely through the bloodstream and releasing it only when it reaches the tumor. To make this possible, these particles have to be designed smartly, from the outer coating to the drug packed inside. Specifically, I'm focusing to target one special protein found on breast cancer cells with the help of these particles. This protein makes the breast cancer cells spread faster and resist conventional chemotherapy, so creating an urgent need for more effective and targeted therapies. So what if we could design our nanoparticles to recognize that protein, like a GPS signal leading straight to the tumor? I'm modifying the surface of these particles with special molecules that can find and stick to that protein on the cancer cells. Once attached, they release the drug right inside the cancer cells without harming healthy cells. This is called development of targeted therapy. That is the beauty of formulation development. It's a precise and intelligent approach that transforms treatment from broad attack to the focused mission. In the lab, these tiny warriors have been showing incredible promise. They deliver more drug to the tumor, reduce side effects, and improve how well the treatment works. My hope is that one day, patients won't have to choose between fighting cancer and feeling healthy. Because if we can make our medicines as smart as our science, then we can give cancer patients not just more time, but a better quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. It's always hard to try and condense these into 3 minutes, but I would assume it's fairly difficult to summarize this in a single slide. So let's talk about how what kind of talking points you were able to condense into one slide to communicate such a complicated topic?
I was able to show my formulation in the form of little particles, and I was able to show that we are injecting into the human body and then targeting what type of tumor, showing one figure, and then I was also able to show a little bit mechanism that it will inhibit one protein. So.
Outstanding, great job. Thank you very much. Next, let's welcome Hayang Liao, who will present mapping hidden sinkholes with fiber optic cables.
Well, hello everyone, welcome to Seismology. So let's imagine you're driving through the city, but suddenly the road beneath you collapses. And that's what happens when sinkhole forms. Sinkholes are part of karst, an underground system that forms when limestone or other soluble rocks slowly dissolve. They appear without warning, damaging roads, houses, and even large infrastructure like tunnels and subways. So the problem and challenge is they're underground and invisible. Traditional drilling tells us what's happening at a single point. Seismic survey, of course, provide us a better coverage, but deploying those dense seismic arrays in busy city is not so practical, and that is exactly where fiber optic cable can offer us a new solution. Fiber optic cables are already running under our cities for decades, first built for internet and communication, but now they're ready for geoscience. What we need is a device called Distributed Acoustic Sensing Interrogator, which is DAS interrogator. It's a machine like this big. We connect it to just one end of the fiber optic cable, turning it into thousands of seismic sensors spaced every few meters. So now we have the receiver. Our goal is to detect structure. What's the source? In the city environment, we are not trying to use artificial seismic sources, which is expensive, disruptive, and not easy to get. Instead, we can use ambient noise, which is ambient seismic wave field generated by traffic and other human activities. It's free and continuous, so here's how the method works. Cars driving on the road generate tiny vibrations. The fiber record those vibrations, analyzing how the waves travel, so we can create or construct shallow subsurface structure using the two-dimension shear wave velocity profile. This result is pretty useful. In karst area, fracture zones and cavities make seismic wave slow down. In this figure, color means velocity. So when we see low velocity zones in our model, it often points to hidden weaknesses underground, potential sinkholes. This is not just theory or story. We've already applied that method in real urban area to detect karst features. We can also do monitoring to track changes in the subsurface over time. For example, after heavy rainfall or construction activities. Overall, what makes this whole thing more exciting is that it's non-invasive, cost-effective with high resolution. In this way, we can map and monitor hidden hazards before they become disasters. Also, in this way, we can make our city not just smarter, but safer. Thank you.
So Hayang, do you have any experience personally with the sinkhole? Have you seen one?
Yeah, when we
Okay,
do the energy project in China, our city, when the rainfall is big, we are on a mountain where we put the fiber optic cable on and do the experiment. Some soil just goes down, and we have borehole to make sure there's a sinkhole in it. Why we do that is because there's a tunnel project. It faces high risk nearby the Changjiang River with water and limestone. It's pretty dangerous, so that's why.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we will hear from Ian Shu, presenting monolingual and bilingual differences in reinforcement learning.
Hi, good morning. Imagine you're learning Japanese and you see the word murasaki. Well, it means purple. If you only speak English, then you probably have to remember it through the harder way, repetition. So you're probably going, oh, okay, purple, murasaki, wait, hold on, what? But if you also speak Spanish, you already know the word morado, which also means purple. So now suddenly, the word murasaki doesn't sound so foreign, and it's now easier to remember because you just found another pathway to the same concept. This is what I study, how knowing more than one language changed the way we learn. Well, learning, whether it's a new word or a skill, really depends on how well our brain takes on feedback to update what we already know. This process is called reinforcement learning. It is the same mechanism behind forming new habits, learning from experiences, or even making everyday decisions. So what about bilingualism? Well, the bilingual brain have to constantly switch between systems. They have to read the environmental cue and decide what language to use at what given situation. It is another form of adaptation and almost just like reinforcement learning. So therefore I asked, how does this bilingual flexibility change the way we learn from feedback? To test this, I ran a reinforcement learning task where my participant had to learn correct choices from feedback. Both language groups learned efficiently just fine. However, bilinguals showed a different pattern. Their learning wasn't slower or faster in all situations, it was more strategic. They were adjusting to different difficulty levels depending on their language proficiency and dominance. In other words, knowing a second language doesn't just add vocabularies, it adds strategies. It seems that my bilinguals were able to use this wider semantic network to acquire new information, just like how a Spanish speaker might be able to connect the word morado to murasaki, and while my monolinguals relied more on repetition. So the results here are suggesting that bilingualism offers a more flexible and more strategic learning style that's tied to language dominance, and what I call a language bank effect. So next time, if you're picking up something new, whether it's a new skill or a new language, try to make use of this one thing that we all have in common, language, and be a better learner. And well, after all, if you remember nothing I said today, well, I still present to you, purple in Japanese is murasaki. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, what would you say was your biggest challenges getting all of this research whittled down to just a 3-minute talk?
The biggest challenge is definitely try to pick what would be a good example. The purple morado, my Latinate helped me a lot of making that connection between Japanese and Spanish.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Now let's welcome Jessica Gutierrez as she assesses the effects of prenatal cannabinoid consumption on embryonic brain development.
Hi, my name's Jessica, and I want to ask you a question. What are the most common substances taken during pregnancy that affect the baby? Two main ones comes into mind, alcohol and nicotine. But it wasn't until 1970 that we knew that alcohol was harmful, and it wasn't until the late 90s that we made the same connection with nicotine. Before this, a lot of babies were exposed to these substances. Now, we have another culprit, cannabinoids. Cannabinoid consumption has increased significantly among women in the past years. Just in 2023, women aged 19 to 30 have surpassed the amount of cannabinoids consumed compared to men for the first time ever. This is happening because of the recent legalization of cannabinoids, because now it's more common for people to use it recreationally or medically, and now there's more variety of options. So this means that a lot of women at childbearing age are being exposed to cannabinoids regularly. Half of these women might be pregnant and they don't even know it. And even if they do, research shows that 8% of women that are pregnant and know it keep consuming cannabinoids because there's an increased belief that it's not harmful and that it's going to treat pregnancy symptoms such as nausea or morning sickness or anxiety, sleeping disorders. But this puts a lot of babies at risk of developing postnatal complications such as ADHD, bipolar disorder, learning deficits, or even craniofacial defects or morphological defects. This is where my research comes in. So I analyzed the effects of prenatal cannabinoid exposure on fetal brain development. We used the mouse model, which is anatomically similar to humans. We dosed them with cannabinoids at the end of the first trimester, beginning of second, because this is where blood vasculature is vital, which means it's vital for brain development. And what we see is that a single dose causes severe defects in the vasculature, but multiple dosing causes even more effects with affecting mechanisms that we don't really know, but we can clearly see. So this is the importance of further investigating the effects of prenatal cannabinoid consumption. So my main goal is to aid healthcare providers into preventing these very preventable side effects, and this way we avoid this happening the same way that it happened with alcohol and nicotine, and this way we avoid it with the cannabinoids. Thank you.
Great job, very timely topic. Now, how do you think this experience participating in the 3-minute thesis is going to support your academic journey and your professional journey?
So actually, it was very useful because I consider myself not being bad at presenting my research, but doing it in 3 minutes was a challenge because I had to pick and choose what is the most important things to see. So it was really useful in organizing all of my ideas and how the highlight of the research, and to show the results. So yes.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now let's welcome our next participant, Ji Yang, who poses the question, can we live smart and slim?
Have you ever forgotten what you want to say mid-sentence? Or walked in a room, but suddenly you couldn't remember why? It is quite normal, but as people grow older, these little brain hiccups start to happen more frequently, and sometimes more seriously. Imagine your later years filled with frustrations, like the ones in this picture, always confused with time, locations, or even the names of your beloved families. How hard would that be? The US Census Bureau projects that by 2034, older adults will outnumber children for the first time in history. It means helping seniors stay healthy is vital for both families and society. One key challenge is brain aging, a major cause of memory loss and cognitive decline. Scientists have searched for decades for a drug to slow brain aging. Yet so far, little success. But recently something interesting appeared. This pen-like injector on the screen is called terzepatide. It is a approved drug to help people with diabetes and quite famously to lose weight. While during the clinical trial, researchers noticed that diabetic patients taking terzepatide seem to have lower risks of neurodegeneration and stroke. In other words, it may help our brain stay young and healthy. So my research is to explore whether terzepatide can slow brain aging and how it works. Yet so far, I found that terzepatide distributes broadly in the body, but not in the brain, at least not at a detectable level, which raises a much more fascinating question. Could it be working indirectly? This is exactly what I'm investigating next. Older adults often face slower metabolism and weight gain, which may lead to high blood pressure or fatty liver or other complications. Well, tirzepatide addresses all of this. It improves metabolism and loses fat effortlessly, while potentially protecting our brain. Moreover, developing a brand new drug usually takes over 10 years and costs billions of dollars. Well, tirzepatide is already approved, saving both time and money for speeding new applications. While my research is just a small step towards this new possibility. Imagine in one day, instead of asking ourselves, why did I forget? We could smile and say, I still got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What would you say was your preparation technique for today? How did you prepare to deliver a 3-minute talk and also condense everything down into a single slide?
I would say I tried to turn a very complex science into a story because audience are they are not specialists, and focus on getting our audience understand, and more importantly, practice.
Thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you.
Next up is Rathika Sunil Menon presenting same sequence, different stories, understanding the Alzheimer's spectrum.
I love my grandfather, and I'm pretty sure that even if I meet someone like Jack from the movie Titanic, I would still say my grandfather is the love of my life. Sadly, he passed away in 2021. But I'm fortunate to have a lifetime of memories with him. He would let me cut his hair, draw tattoos on his hand. In many ways, he still lives on through me and through those precious moments we shared together. Now imagine the love of your life, 65 or 70 years old, looking at you with eyes filled with confusion, struggling to remember your name. That moment when they fail to recognize you and those cherished memories begin slipping away is the heartbreaking reality of over 50 million people worldwide living with Alzheimer's disease. This disease often begins quietly in the brain. Tiny clumps of a protein called amyloid beta form and stick together. They create harmful structures that look similar to a bundle of tangled hair. These structures damage our brain cells, causing the very memory loss we fear. Now let us use an analogy to understand how these structures form. Lego bricks. You can always start with the same colorful pile of Lego bricks, but build vastly different towers. You could build a simple straight tower or a twisted one. The starting material is the same, but the final structures look completely different. The same thing happens with our amyloid beta protein. The individual bricks are called monomers. These monomers stack together to form structures we call fibrils. And these fibrils may have varying toxicity. This could be a key in solving a huge puzzle in Alzheimer's. Why do patients have different symptoms and disease progression? Maybe fibril 1 is more toxic than fibril 3. Also, did you know Alzheimer's has still no cure? Yet. One of the possible reasons could be that most of the drugs are designed to target amyloids as if it were a single thing. But if you have a drug against the straight tower, it would be ineffective against the twisted one, right? Well, this is exactly where my research comes in. We study how each of these fibril structures form, how they behave under different conditions, their interactions, and we also measure toxicity. We have found evidence that the interactions and growth rate of one fibril does differ to another. Through my research, I aim to give people a chance to hold on to their most precious possession, their memories. Let's do it. Thank you.
Fantastic topic. Do you see yourself continuing to research Alzheimer's in your career?
Certainly, I would really love to. I think it would make a huge impact, and it's something that we really need to do it right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Guys, we are in the home stretch. Just a few more scholars before we conclude our presentation and award the winners. Next up, Ryan Boyce, who will be addressing fighting cancer with heavy sugar.
Good morning. This year in the United States, an estimated 9,550 children will be diagnosed with cancer. There's good news though. Since the year 1970, the mortality rate of pediatric cancer has fallen by more than 70%, largely in thanks to advancements in imaging and in treatments. One such advancement in imaging is combined PET-CT. In a PET-CT exam, a radioactive glucose tracer is administered to the patient. Active tumors uptake a lot of glucose and glow brightly on these exams, while tumors that are responding well to treatment are dim. PET-CT has greatly expanded our ability to tailor our treatments to tumor response, but there's a big catch. Every PET-CT exam comes with a dose of ionizing radiation. A 2022 study from Massachusetts General Hospital found that as many as 1 in 5 cancer patients will undergo multiple PET-CT exams throughout the course of their treatment. Now, for adults, this might not be such a big deal, but for kids, their longer lifespan means that every extra dose of radiation comes with an increased chance of developing a secondary malignancy later on in life. In my lab, we're working on a method to get the PET-CT result without the PET-CT radiation. Now, deuterium is the heavy cousin of hydrogen. It consists of 1 proton and 1 neutron. Replace all of the hydrogen atoms on a water molecule with deuterium, and boom, you've got heavy water, non-radioactive and chemically identical to normal water. The best part, deuterium is visible in an MRI machine. Now replace all of the hydrogen on a sugar molecule with deuterium, and you've got a non-radioactive tracer capable of detecting cancer. Here's how it works. First, we administer a dose of heavy sugar to the patient. To get good signal, we only need to administer a dose of sugar equivalent to about what's in a bottle of Mountain Dew. Next, the patient lays down on the same MRI machine for both a traditional and a specialized deuterium MRI exam. During the traditional exam, the patient's tumor and background anatomy are visualized so that we can localize the deuterium signal later on. Then, over the course of about an hour and a half, we can track the concentrations of heavy sugar and heavy water as the tumor burns the sugar for energy. Finally, we use a set of differential equations to understand the movement of the sugar through the patient's body. This provides us with information about things such as whether the tumor is disrupting healthy blood flow and how fast its metabolism is. Providing all of this information to doctors gives them the information that they need to tailor their treatment to the specific tumor that they're treating. Overall, this technique gives physicians the information that they need to treat cancer without an additional dose of ionizing radiation. It's not a cure by any means, but it's one less risk for children already facing too many. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ryan. Wonderful job. Do you have any mentors here on campus that helped you with this research and other endeavors? And really, how have they helped you as a graduate student here?
Absolutely, too many to name. So from the physics department, first of all, I have to acknowledge my advisor, Dr. Greg Morrison. He's been excellent in career development and in teaching me. I'd also like to thank Dr. Gamanu Gunaratne, who just inspired me with his curiosity for so many varied aspects of physics and really supported me in pursuing something more applied than something more theoretical.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Now, living in Houston, we are all used to traffic jams, but next up, Sambita Chowdhury is going to enlighten us on fixing molecular traffic jams.
If you've ever driven through Houston at rush hour, you know the pain. closed lanes, jammed exits, and detours that somehow make things even worse. Now imagine that happening inside a crystal. Molecules rushing to make fuels and medicine through all kinds of chemical reactions get stuck in the tiny highways of chemical plants called zeolites. Zeolites are small crystals that help to make the gasoline in your car, the plastic for the chairs you're sitting on, and even the clothes that you're wearing. For decades, they have done their job. But now, with larger molecules to recycle, tighter energy demands, and cleaner targets to meet, these old highways just can't keep up. They get clogged up, they break down, and they waste valuable energy. My research focuses on redesigning these crystal highways so we don't have molecular traffic jams in them anymore. I redesign these highways so molecules can flow through them faster, smoother, and for much longer. So the solutions? The first, feeder roads. I grow small structures called fins on the surface of these crystals. These fins give the molecules extra lanes in and out. No more bottlenecks, traffic clears up, the reactions speed up, and the zeolite can be used for much longer. Second, express lanes. Sometimes molecules tend to react at the wrong spot, causing accidents which block the highways. The solution? To rezone the zeolite by changing its chemical layout or by growing a shell. This way we can steer the reactions to where they should actually happen, giving us more valuable products and fewer emissions. Third, road repairs. Just like the numerous potholes that we see on these roads after every single storm, zeolites also have defects. These are usually left behind during synthesis, and these can block the flow of molecules. I use simple heating treatments called annealing to resurface these molecular roads so traffic can flow smoothly again. The result? Materials that can make up to 3 times more valuable products and can last up to 4 times longer. And this isn't just lab magic. We have been able to scale these processes up 100 times as of right now, using cheaper, cleaner methods, all ready for the real-world chemical plants to use. So while I am quite powerless to fix Houston's highways, which tend to frustrate you every morning, I am trying to fix the invisible ones which power our world. Because when we fix molecular traffic jams, we are one tiny step closer to delivering cleaner fuels and materials to billions of people across the world. Thank you.
So tell us what brought you to the University of Houston and how your experience here has impacted your academic career.
So I'm a chemical engineer, and the chemical engineering department in University of Houston is actually pretty famous. We have amazing research going on. We have a huge, amazing collection of faculty. And when I was looking for grad schools, that was one of the major things that I was looking into. And luckily enough, I was able to get into Dr. Reimer's group, who is my advisor. And he works in a very nice intersection of materials, hardcore chemical engineering, and new areas. So I've been really lucky to work on that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now let's welcome Anna Snyder, who will take us on a journey to the past to create the future.
Is artificial intelligence going to take over all of our creative jobs? As someone doing her doctoral research in creativity, this is a question I've been getting a lot recently. Behind me, you see several images of AI-generated art, but one of these paintings was created by a human artist, Jessica Brilli. If you haven't figured it out yet, it's the central image behind me. While AI has access to millions of images from which it can distill patterns and create art, Jessica Brilli, you and me have one thing that AI doesn't: emotions. Research has found that emotions can inspire creativity at a level above and beyond what AI can create. And my research finds that the same subject that inspired Jessica Brilli's painting behind me, nostalgia, might be a key to unlocking this level of creativity. At first, it might seem very counterintuitive that Nostalgia could inspire creativity. Nostalgia is all about sentimentally longing for the past, whereas creativity is about generating new and useful ideas for the future or the present. But when we think about what's going on in your brain, they're not actually that different. Nostalgia requires that you generate ideas or memories, then mentally travel to the past in order to select a memory that evokes sentimentality and longingness. Creativity requires that you generate ideas, then mentally travel to the future in order to select the idea that's best for future you. In this way, I theorized that nostalgia might be able to act as a sort of warm-up for your creativity. I tested this theory in a series of studies. In my first study, 124 adults reported how much nostalgia they feel on average, as well as various aspects of their creativity. I found that adults who feel more nostalgic tend to have more creative jobs, more creative accomplishments, and see themselves as more creative people. In my second study, I followed 120 college students over 2 weeks. We found that on days college students felt more nostalgic, they engaged in more creative activities like painting a picture, or solving a puzzle. I'm currently working on an experiment in which we're testing to see if evoking nostalgia in participants helps them to be more creative on a problem-solving task. This research is really important because if we can understand how to inspire uniquely human creativity, we can push the boundaries of the things we're able to innovate and the problems we're able to solve. My research suggests that nostalgia might be a key to helping us push the boundaries of what we can create, and in Jessica Briley's case, create artwork above and beyond what AI is able to generate. Thank you so much.
Very interesting topic, Anna. So I have to ask, have you seen Back to the Future?
I have seen that film, yes.
So let's talk a little bit also about your inspiration for this particular topic.
Yeah, so I am very interested in how emotions help us to be creative. I think that there's been a lot of research on how extremely positive or negative emotions inspire creativity, but not a lot on how more ambivalent emotions like nostalgia inspire creativity. And I think that that is an area in which is underexplored, so I was really excited to get the chance to look into that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we have arrived at our final 3-minute thesis participant. Muhammad Osman Khalid will talk about solving the kidney stone puzzle.
Imagine that pain being caused by something that's smaller than a grain of sand. That's what a kidney stone can do. But what if we could prevent all that from ever happening? You see, a kidney stone isn't just a rock, it's a puzzle. Thousands of microscopic pieces coming together one by one until they form a crystal that's big enough to cause problems. Current treatments for kidney stones look at what to do after a stone forms. They involve removing it surgically or breaking it down using sound waves. However, these methods are expensive, painful, and often temporary. I'm working on something different, non-invasive prevention, stopping that kidney stone puzzle at its very first piece. See, stopping the kidney stone at its very first piece. I'm working on a particularly stubborn type of kidney stone called bruchite. It is one of the hardest and most persistent forms known. It grows easily, doesn't dissolve easily, and tends to come back even after treatment. It comes back even after treatment. So I use a bunch of very advanced techniques using sophisticated microscopes to look at exactly how this puzzle forms and grows in real time at scales smaller than a single hair's length. This allows me to see exactly where this puzzle starts, how it spreads, and most importantly, what happens when I interact with it. That's where my modifiers come in. Modifiers are small, specially designed molecules that directly interact with the crystal surface. Think of them as mischievous corner pieces in this puzzle. They make their way in and wedge themselves into critical growth spots, not allowing the puzzle to get completed. This idea is shown more clearly in my slide, where on the left, the puzzle is complete. That's a kidney stone growing normally. However, on the right, the bright blue modifier pieces have snuck themselves in, not allowing the other puzzle pieces to make their way and stopping the stone from growing. And here comes the amazing part. I have identified a modifier that works better than all current kidney stone therapies at preventing bruchite crystallization. If this approach works in the body, we will be able to truly prevent kidney stones rather than just treating them. So therefore, maybe the key to solving the kidney stone puzzle isn't by finishing it, but by making sure that the puzzle doesn't get solved at all. Thank you.
Great topic and so important for so many people. Tell me, where do you see yourself after you graduate with your graduate degree?
Yeah, I hope to continue working on improving the lives of people using chemical engineering. So hopefully I see myself as a scientist somewhere in the pharmaceutical industry working on not just kidney stone, but also other problems that people face.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was our final participant. Our judges will now deliberate and identify our top 3 winners of the 3-minute thesis competition. And as a reminder, all of you should have ballots, so please make your selection and hand your ballot to the end of the row. Who is collecting the ballots? Please raise your hand. And, okay. If you can, lend a pen or pencil to a fellow audience member. Yeah, exactly. Who is collecting the ballots? So I would say toward the exit. Bridget is headed over there to help collect the ballots. Now, as our judges deliberate and your ballots are collected, I'd like to invite all of the participants back to the stage. Let's give them a warm round of applause. 3-minute thesis participants. All right, so we have reached the end of our competition. And we'd just like to ask some of our participants some questions while the judges continue to score. Now, I've asked a few of you why you chose the University of Houston. Who else would like to answer that question? How about you, Anna?
Okay. There is one person who's pretty famous who studies creativity and personality, and she's here at UH, so I came to work with my advisor, Dr. Rodika Damyan, and yeah, so I was very excited to get accepted here and work with her.
Outstanding. Now, what would you say serves as fuel as a researcher? Cougar Grounds, Starbucks, what else helps really serve as a good refreshment for you as you guys are working hard in the labs and your respective spaces?
Sure. So we at our department, Decision and Information Science, we have a good selection of coffee, and I want to shout out to the staff there, Michelle, Tomika, and Corina, for always keeping up with the inventory and also always provide us with a good coffee. So thank you them for always having for us just in case we need some extra caffeine.
All right. Now, I was privy to a few conversations backstage. I did hear somebody talking about K-pop. What kind of music do you guys listen to when you guys are working or just relaxing?
I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but jazz hop is absolutely my favorite. And there's one artist to check it out. It's called Nujabes.
All right. And a few of you can answer this. What is your favorite thing about being here at the University of Houston? Mohammed.
I think the professors at our department, working with them, seeing the seminal advances that they have made in the field, they really like motivate me in my work as well. So I think the great faculty we have, it's a great part of being here at UH.
You know, so much of your research really impacts the lives of our communities. What really inspired you to, you know, serve others and really conduct research that's going to have an impact on so many lives? How about your research on Alzheimer's? I found that very inspiring.
I certainly believe, you know, people makes your journey meaningful. People play a huge part in your life. Without people and, you know, nothing happens. So I really feel that research or any kind of work should impact their lives and help them improve their memories or any kind of disease, help improve their health too. So I think impacting people is what is the main thing that we all should focus on probably.
Now, everybody is set to graduate this fall or next spring or very soon? Okay. Now, last question before we await the judge's return. Where do you see yourself after completing your graduate degree? How about you, Royce?
Well, I love research. I'd love to keep doing it. I hope to continue to be doing sort of applied research that makes a difference, and I think this is a great opportunity to sort of show people that even really heady topics can make a difference in everyday life.
Excellent, thank you. I'll repeat the same question for Mr. Hayang here.
It's my professor that brought me here, and I really like the research, what I'm doing right now. Since this is my first year and 3 months in the United States, I will keep my research in the next 5 years and maybe do another postdoc. So I really enjoy the diversity and research here. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, and I can safely say I have worked here for about 25 years, and one of the most inspiring things in my career is meeting students just like all of these people. So let's give them another round of applause, and the judges should be in very shortly. You guys can grab something to eat, or the judges should be back here, and then we'll call you, or All right, it is almost that time. If I can have all of the participants come back to the stage, please. All right, participants, let's take the stage. All right. Third place finisher in the 2025 3-minute thesis finals is Ryan Boyce. Congratulations, Ryan. Second place goes to Sana Sharif. And now the moment you have all been waiting for. First place winner in the 2025 3-minute thesis finals is Radhika Sunil Menon. And last but not least, People's Choice winner, Anna Snyder. And let's just give a hand for all of our participants. Great information, great presentations, outstanding event today. And if I could ask our recipients just to stay on stage for a group photo. And there are refreshments right outside, so help yourselves, courtesy of the University of Houston Graduate School. And again, thank you all for attending this very important event.